Hello, welcome to my presentation on growth mindset and technical writing. By the end of this online presentation, you will be able to identify and discuss growth mindset, identify and discuss deliberate practice, define and identify methods of spaced repetition and interleaving of different subjects, identify and implement peer and outside peer reviews. As a professional technical writer, it is imperative to have good research methods based upon study habits focused on learning, including proper learning techniques for subject mastery. With tight deadlines often looming, writers are often overwhelmed with the amount of material which must be mastered prior to the actual writing process. Often study and writing are done in parallel, and developing a sound study techniques through immersive practice increases the likelihood of productive outcomes when meeting the demands of writing in an agile development. Growth mindset is the belief that a person's abilities can be developed through effort versus relying on innate talent. Growth mindset is based on grit and perseverance and not settling for the status quo. Do not settle for a preferred learning method, but embrace every available mechanism. Develop a study tool set that is wide in its breadth versus relying on comfortable and complacent methods. Expertise should be a continuing process, and practicing dynamic testing and learning methods strengthens already strong areas of knowledge, but also leads to competency in weaker areas, creating a more versatile knowledge base. Deliberate practice is the repetitive performance of cognitive or physical skills, such as testing or skills practice. By practicing the use of software to be documented, you can anticipate an end user's needs and create procedures which meet them. If you are writing an online help system for product interface documentation, do not settle for defining components in verbatim, but truly create a system that is helpful to an end user, anticipating an end user's needs and providing an answer in a properly written manner. Complex learning tasks, which are effort-centrist, are desirable difficulties. The more complex a task is, and one which is solvable, creates a stronger, deeper learning foundation, and ultimately stronger memory recall. Learning through active, complex tasks strengthens your mind's routes to memory recall, creating a more flexible foundation that allows for new information and more recent learning to be retained. Effort-centric practice assists integration among related ideas into meaningful, repeatable conclusions which are applied intrinsically when recalled. If a subject is difficult to learn, embrace a growth mindset and set yourself to embrace difficulty. Use different learning methods which fall outside the comfortable to establish a sound knowledge base prior to writing. Studying and simply regurgitating source material is not true mastery of a writing subject. Practice using what you are going to write about, study it, and create key outline clues which will work as function points an end user can embrace as tool usage tips. Spaced repetition is a learning technique that embodies increasing intervals of time between reviewing learned material. Initially learning a subject and then revisiting a subject at a later time causes familiar retention of the subject. Spaced repetition conducted several times creates a solid foundation for learning that is not necessarily based upon simple repetition, allowing you to self-assess the material over a broader space of time. If you combine interleaving of two or more related subjects during practice with varied spacing, you can improve your ability to distinguish different problem sets with their appropriate conclusions. Learning is greater when interleaved and learned over a broader time period versus an all-at-once presentation. Interleaving is the practice or study of two or more different but related subjects, and causes retrieval to be harder, thus creating an environment of problem solving to provide a conducive relationship. Interleaving of different but related subjects occurs across each development phase in an agile environment, interweaving a cognitive relationship across lifecycle development. Assessing requirement descriptions, use flow of intended software implementation, how the project development is implemented, and product testing. Each phase is a continual use of interleaving several different subjects in relation to development, culminating in accurate knowledge of a subject, and may be applied towards quality end-user documentation. Aside from focusing on the fundamentals of trade or subject area, an expert sees all the relevant factors involved in a subject and can address what is the next step. And if something is missing, such as a skill or a production outcome that is undesirable, an expert has the drive to work towards an outcome that addresses soft areas in their knowledge or skill set. When on the route to expertise, seek review among your peers. Also, look elsewhere in your organization for reviewers. When writing, it is imperative to seek review of written content to ensure it meets established quality standards, but also identifies weak areas of communication and organization. Peer feedback increases the mastery of a subject by identifying gaps in knowledge and allowing for correction. Implementing a growth mindset and its associated learning techniques leads to reproducible and positive outcomes. Here are some suggestions for applying learning techniques. If you are writing an online help system for a product interface documentation, do not settle for defining components in verbatim, but truly create a system that is helpful to an end user. Use peer review to ensure quality standards are met, but also to ensure that your documentation is tested and truly usable by your audience. Seek someone who is not a writer to perform an outside peer review, someone who is unfamiliar with the technical writing process as someone to test your procedures to ensure they are usable by your audience. Use deliberate practice with your subject by practicing software, creating procedures in anticipation of end-user needs, and seeking peer or outside peer reviews of your material until a masterful documentation set is achieved. When learning your subject, create keyword indexes which can later be outlined as subjects of focus for end-user documentation. What you learn while practicing the use of software or during your in-depth research very well may be useful to your audience. Spaced and interleaved practice, embracing a growth mindset, and learning through desired difficulties are learning techniques you can apply towards technical writing. Each learning technique should be explored to gain mastery of subject, allowing you to create theory and proposable concepts which are easily translated to your documentation. Knowledge you gain is also gained for your audience. The more you know, the more your audience will know. Thank you for your time, and remember, growth mindset and its associated learning techniques make a better technical writer.